Conversations with leading experts in enterprise resource planning. Evolving ERP. Powered by Insight Jam.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Evolving ERP. I'm your host again, Ryan Daly, wishing you a wonderful day wherever you are. We've got returning champion Judith O'Callahan back with us. Judith, hello to you. And for the first time, we've got Aparna Achanta. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. And we're going to be talking about something that we haven't talked about on the show before in any great depth. I'm sure we've touched on it here and there, but ERP and security around ERP, which, as somebody who is not in ERP personally, I saw that and thought, oh, yeah, that's probably really important, isn't it? I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, you've got a ton of data, a ton of business information running around in these systems. You probably don't want anybody else, or you want only certain people to get access to it. But before we get started, of course, what kind of host would I be if I didn't invite you or soft demand to go down, send us a like, send us a subscription. Nobody says subscription. Subscribe. Imperative. Subscribe to the channel right down below. You can do it. I believe in you. And you know what? If there's a subject like security and ERP, something that we haven't covered, something you'd like to know more about, hey, drop it in the comments right there. We read them. We'll check it out. And you know what? We can pull guests. We can find people. We've got a lot of experts that we can draw upon to talk about it. Speaking of experts, Aparna, your first time on the show. Could you let us know kind of your a little bit of your backstory? What got you into the world of ERP?
Sure. I've actually been working for ERP systems for over 11 years now. I work with like SAP and also like Microsoft Dynamics. So most of my career has been working for like digital transformation projects for ERP systems. I've also done some migrations from like on-premise to cloud. And I think in this day and age, most ERP systems are hosted in the cloud. And even though that's pretty cool, that's like easy to maintain, that also brings like a host of security challenges. So currently, I work as a security lead. I am in consulting and I work for a major federal client. And our federal client actually uses SaaS ERP system for their finance and also for their supply chain. So I kind of actually specialize in like securing ERP and also CRM systems. And most times we see that they are closely linked. So I do understand because of like just the sheer volume and also the nature of the financial data that we see in the ERP systems. Uh, I think security has to be in the forefront. So I'm really excited to be on this podcast. I'm really excited to share my experiences, my learnings, and also provide some security tips on how we can secure our major systems.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And I'm sure that our viewers would love to come away with some of those tips. So I'm going to step out of the way and hand it over to you and Judith. Take it away, and I will be listening with, well, I was going to say listening with bated breath, but that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to leave. Okay. And I'll come back in at the end, but looking forward to this conversation. Take it away.
All right, and thank you, Ryan. So, Aparna, it's great to be having this opportunity to speak to you, and especially on this important topic, security. So, with the advent of AI and ERP, and as you say, most systems are now hosted in the cloud, the importance of security, as we consider ERP or digital transformation, has increased a lot. So, from your perspective, what are the changes that you've seen in the last 5 or 10 years in the ERP environment and the necessity for the high focus on security?
Sure. I think, like it's being hosted in the cloud is like very different from on-prem. And the reason is, in this day and age, all the cloud applications are like have like integrations with other systems. Like if we talk about like an ERP system, maybe it's sort of has like an input of data from like a different financial system. Or if we talk about a HR system, right? Maybe they have an integration with like a different HR system from which they bring in data. So, because we are talking about so much data, because we are talking about, like maybe thousands of system integrations in some case, I think it really increases the need for security. And also because of AI, right? AI is both a boon and a bane. And it's like a double-ended sword where it's great and it promotes productivity and also like innovation, but on the other end we have some cyber criminals, some malicious actors who actually use AI to trigger attacks, right? Like if we see attacks like AI powered attacks or like data model poisoning, all these can be triggered by malicious actors by maybe just giving some prompts to the system. So, because of AI, I feel like the kind of threat vectors have actually increased than before. Like, if we look at the recent breaches in the ERP systems, right? Be it like data breaches or anything, all of them were, like really powered by AI. So, because of AI, we now have this capability to launch like sophisticated attacks, and also insider attacks have also increased because of AI. So that's the reason I feel like, like security has to be kind of like baked into like each stage of the ERP application, like right from development to the time it's deployed to the time it's rolled up to training the staff about the system. And also, one good thing about AI is we can actually use AI to implement like the application monitoring, to automate threat detection, to automate like anomaly detection. So that's where we can take the power of AI to fortify the security of an ERP system.
And you make a very good point to the table. So the mindset in the last few years, especially, has changed a lot. And thanks to all the beautiful technology that has been made available to us and humans. So the threat can come from anywhere, internal, external, or even from other parties that we do not know about. So with the advent of everything evolving and you say adopting that security mindset is a good protector for the organizations who are embarking on a ERP transformation. And that brings a beautiful question to the table, right? How many, in your experience, how many clients have you seen are aware, totally aware of this, and have incorporated those security models or the security mindsets from the start? Or is it one of those things where it is recognized later? So it can be either way. So based on what you have seen, how does the lay of how is the lay of the land?
At least in my experience, Judith, it's always one of the things that takes like a backseat, because clients always want their app to be released as soon as possible, right? They want value from the application. And because of this Gen AI and AI, like they want to be like first in the game. uh so it's the security is not like the first things, or I would say it's not even in the top 10 sometimes when business leaders meet. It's mostly about, like the return of investment, like those kind of metrics, right? I, like seldom see business leaders talk about, okay, if we don't do maybe code scanning on this ERP application, and if we find like critical vulnerabilities, what is the financial loss or financial impact for our organization. And most times, if we see some reports out there, the financial loss for an organization from a data breach is estimated to be about 5 million, which is
For a
huge.
small
But
organization, yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
huge.
but yeah, but unfortunately, many organizations, until they have a breach, right, or until they have an audit, they don't realize the importance of securing the systems. And I think what's worse is if you have a breach, especially for ERP systems, because they have financial data, they also become like non-compliant, like to some standards like GDPR or like SOX or like PCI, right? Because maybe they're storing like credit card information, or maybe they're storing sensitive financial data, right? Really, like we have to shift the security left. And what I mean by that is right from the inception of the project,
Mm.
right from the inception of the ERP application, we need to figure out how can we really implement security in each phase of the ERP application.
And you bring a good point to the table, right? So it's like even giving an example of house or a place of dwelling. So if you get robbed or if your front door is broken, that's when the problem actually
Yeah.
starts. You don't know what's stolen, where it's stolen. So you have to do a whole bunch of stock take to see what is actually missing and what more is missing. And more importantly, as you say, for organizations, it's reputational damage. So the more you get hacked, everyone else is also start thinking about investing in you and so many other things. And also the mindset of, are you going to keep my data secure? So it's just not about the financials, it's about the trust in data, which is all around people, and trust is the currency of business. So, which organizations cannot afford to lose. So, in your experience or in your opinion, have you experienced a very good security posture in the sense, or a security mindset that an organization has adopted in any of their transformation journeys? So sometimes in my line of work, which is ERP implementations, I find that smaller organization in the least expected places, you find words of wisdom or actions that are so wise, and the founders being so wise or something like that. So in your experience, have you found or have you experienced a very wise security posture taken by any of the organizations?
Sure. So, in the current organization I work for, it is a federal client. So, I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs in the US. And in our current organization, we actually have a center of excellence that is focused specifically to make sure we are embracing the principles of zero trust, we are embracing the principles of security by design, and we make sure we are implementing these security frameworks for all our ERP applications right from the time they start development. And I think also one of the reasons being, we deal with a lot of confidential and sensitive data. So we want to make sure we have a very strong security posture, and some of the guardrails sort of a thing that we implemented are, like right from the application development, we make sure we have a security review to make sure all the integrations or all the components or the interactions the ERP system has, they are sort of like within our firewalls, and also they are using the right encryption algorithms, they're using the right encryption standards. And after the security review, we also make sure we have uh, CI/CD pipelines in place where we have automated things like code scanning and also like vulnerability assessment, where we actively mitigate the vulnerabilities like early on in the ERP system. And also, in addition to this, I think one major thing what we do is we make sure they only have role based access in the ERP system. And we also follow like the principles of like least privilege, which means, let's say you are a HR person using a ERP system, right? You should not have access to the financial module of the ERP system, right? And for example, if you are a finance person dealing with a region, you can only see data for your region, right? So we made sure at a more granular level, we implement that role based access, to make sure, like a user is only seeing data that they need. In addition to this, we also implement application monitoring to make sure, like we also track like the user behavior if there are any suspicious logins. And in addition to that, we also have like auditing for all the financial fields, right? Because ERP systems are full of like financial fields. So we actively do like logging and auditing of all the financial fields to make sure. And we also have used some AI tools to make sure if a user has entered, like if an expected value is so and so for a financial field, right? Like they're not exceeding that value for that financial field. And we also make use of some SIEM tools, which sort of like proactively monitors for threats in the ERP system. It also sees like past behavior of threats, and then it makes like a deterministic probability of, so like what sorts of threats can we anticipate. So I think all these have like definitely increased the security posture. And I feel like, this is something that all ERP implementations should keep in mind, because we are in an age where we hear about like a cyber attack, like maybe like every week. So I think on top of this, I think it's very important to provide like security training and security awareness to all the users who are using the ERP systems, right? And it has to be like role based training. Like if you are, let's say, you are a supply chain manager. So, what is the level of security awareness that you need as a supply chain manager? Like implementing a combination of all these security processes, I would say has really strengthened our security posture.
Want more Inside Jam? Subscribe to our YouTube channel for shorts, panels, podcasts, and more. In your Shorts feed, enjoy a daily dose of best practices from tech experts and leading solution providers, while long-form panel discussions and keynotes, recorded live every quarter, go deep on important industry topics. And don't miss our collection of regular podcasts, keeping you informed on the latest trends. We're hard at work collecting the best enterprise technology information from around the globe, so subscribe to be notified of our next upload. Now, let's get back to the show.
That is good. So let's talk about our best friend AI, who has been everywhere, and a
Yes.
lot of people believe it's a lifesaver. So
Mhm.
AI brings in a lot of interesting things to the table. So some good, some bad, some neutral. So in your opinion, how has the posture changed since we've had AI being spoken about by everyone? AI, like just for readers or listeners, it's not new. It has been there since the 70s, and the hype in AI is relatively new because everybody talks about it. So most AIs, as you know, as you and I know, Aparna, it's not a problem at all. But there are agents we need to be really mindful of and careful of, and as we work on increasing the security posture. So in your opinion, or in the recent days, how has the security, the level of thinking or the mindset has changed with the with all the beautiful AI going everywhere?
I think it's a great question, and that's like a very relevant question. I would definitely say like AI has, helped security professionals with, like performing their duties, because, there is still a shortage of staff in cybersecurity, right? one SOC analyst, like they can be in like 10 places at a time. So I really think that AI has come to help them, right, and act them as their companion. Because there are many security processes. So, for example, like you can write like an agent, or you can use like agentic AI, which will take care of some of the security processes for you. In turn, what this does is it actually frees up time of the security professionals, and they don't need to work on like routine tasks. They can focus on more mission critical tasks. So I believe that if we take AI to its good use, it can really help us. But on the other hand, like if we there's like with so much rapid evolvement of AI, I really feel like people need to know how to use AI. And especially the risk of like shadow AI is a lot these days, where because of all these generative AI tools, people use them for their productivity, but they don't realize that they're actually inputting a lot of financial data into that they're not supposed to. So it has also like increased the risk of like social engineering attacks. It has increased, for example, phishing attacks, right? And they're like so realistic, right? Like people who are like not in trend with the current AI, they don't realize that it's like a social engineering attack. They don't realize it's like a phishing attack. And if they fall to such attacks, right, they usually end up giving like confidential data. So I think it's always like that race where I sort of feel like it's always like firefighting with AI. Like if you like put off something by using AI, then the next day some other attack or threat comes up as a result of AI. But I think we have to deal with it because AI is not a trend or a fad anymore. It is very much a reality. And I believe that in the next upcoming years, right, I think people who use AI or organizations who use AI in a smart way, in a secure and a compliant way, I think they will be far ahead in terms of security than those who are not embracing AI. So I think, uh, yeah. So I think some factors to keep in mind is like all the employees, they have to be trained in using AI. For example, uh, all the SOC analysts, all the GRC analysts, they need to assess the current AI risk assessment frameworks, right? Like, for example, we have a AI risk assessment framework from uh, NIST, and then they need to like assess, okay, what will be the roles and responsibilities in my organization for implementing these AI tools, so that my security team has the most advantage from these AI tools. And in addition to that, I think they also need to run like organization wide campaigns where they can create like some simulation attacks and simulation phishing attacks, so that they train the staff on like really what to look out for.
And you bring a beautiful aspect to the table, right? That's the skill set and the mindset that we
Mhm.
need to develop, because what we have now is going to continue or going to increase. So before we dive into the skill set of what is needed, so all the AI powered attacks over the last few years, if you look at it, it's increasing exponentially. So any organization anywhere across the world reports at least 5 to 6 AI powered attacks on a daily basis. So, which is a big statistic. So, the only way you can adopt it is to have the only way you can manage it is to have that right mindset, and also to see what's the depth of the attack and all sorts of stuff. So, based on your experience with the number of attacks increasing, so what are the things that anyone can do to make themselves aware of those sort of circumstances, because it's just not organizations who are impacted. It is human. Every human using any technology is likely to be a candidate for this.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a great point. I think we also need to take responsibility at an individual level because of the advent of AI. Sometimes it's hard to catch up, right? Because like one week we read about DeepSeek and then there's something else. I feel like we constantly need to, like educate ourselves firstly on the different types of attacks and how they can be launched. And if we don't realize it, how knowingly or unknowingly we also become part of the attack. So I think, I think it's good for employees to, like sort of learn about data breaches or like malware attacks or like ransomware attacks, social engineering attacks, and also like advanced persistent attacks. And how can hackers really find like entry points, right, to like gain access into the network or the application. And I think one more thing is it's really important to set strong passwords. I know we just, like don't pay much attention to that, or we just end up, like writing our password on a notepad or something on our work computer, and we just leave our work computer and we just go to get coffee, and we don't realize that maybe someone else has seen it, or we set up the same password for every application. Because in that case, if a hacker gains access to one of your application, then it would be the same password for everything. So I think it's really important to, like educate people, and especially, like people who are maybe not that tech savvy, like people like my mom, to really, like tell them, please keep a lock on your phone, please keep a lock on your laptop, right? And I think in recent times, also, like ransomware and social engineering attacks have increased a lot. Like I see even on like phones, like sometimes we receive some messages, and even emails. So I think we also need to be very watchful for all of that. And before anything, I think we first need to question like the legitimacy of it. And if needed, we can also report it to local authorities, right? Like if we are not sure if it is a sincere request or not, I think, you can always call your local cyber authorities, and they can further actually help you in trying to like investigate the issue. So I think all these really help. And I would say, like for anyone in this day and age, it really helps to know like the basis of security, right? Because all of us have a phone, all of us have social media, all of us use email, all of us use Outlook, Gmail, like all of us maybe use WhatsApp. So I think it's really important to know, are your messages, like being like encrypted if you use a certain platform? Is your data being shared with anyone else? Is it not being shared? If it is being shared, is it being shared? So I think all these things, like sometimes people don't ask, they don't pay like they don't pay attention to the fine print. And because of that, like they fall victim to all these attacks or breaches. So I think it's really important to take it like step by step and make sure we really are being like mindful, right? Like whenever we're using any application.
Unlock better leads through Solutions Review events.
Welcome to Data Demo Day. Expert Roundtable, Solution Spotlight featuring Monte Carlo, Cohesity, Denodo, Cloudflare, High Gear, Broadcom, NextThing.
Boost your brand with a webinar that shares comprehensive use cases, real-time product demos, and an interactive Q&A. All broadcast live to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Zoom from our Boston studio, or even on location. Fill your sales funnel with high-quality targeted leads. And contact us today by visiting solutionsreview.com/virtual events.
Thank you. This is very insightful. I'm sure a lot of audience looking at it or watching this would find it very encouraging and insightful as well. Because if any of us are vulnerable, the whole tribe is vulnerable. So the only way to protect it is just being aware and looking after ourselves. So it's like walking in a busy street with an open handbag. Hey, you're going to get robbed. So it's a very simple thing of taking your own precautions. So moving back to our organization and the challenges that we have in the world, and cybersecurity is one of the very interesting areas in terms of skill set. So not every it, and the skill set is not easily found. So how do organizations manage the knowledge that is available in the world, in your opinion? Do we go for models like shared services, or how do we manage the current demand?
Many organizations currently they have like their internal learning portal, so they have like a collaboration with other learning portals like Coursera, where they try to like spread awareness about the kind of certifications the cybersecurity staff needs. But in addition to that, I think not just educating the security professionals, I think it's also important to educate even like the non-technical professionals about security. And I do agree that cybersecurity is like an ever evolving field, like there's always something new out there. So it's really important to like keep up to date with all the latest certifications, all the latest frameworks that are out there, and also learn about all the compliance policies to make sure like whatever application you're working on is compliant. And in addition to that, I think like security professionals should also focus on like data security. Like, is the data being like encrypted? Is it being masked? And one more thing I've observed is I think in cybersecurity, like even mentoring helps a lot. So, like whenever I talk to professionals, I know that they've greatly benefited from cybersecurity mentors. And I think even networking in cybersecurity, it helps a lot. Like, if you have a mentor, if you're actively networking, and try to connect with as many people, as many cyber leaders as you can on LinkedIn. And I think we need to like be constantly like reading white papers, getting certified if we can. Then I usually also encourage people to work on like real time projects out there. uh, like there are many working groups. For example, there's a multi-cloud working group from Nest that people can be a part of, where you can contribute your knowledge and also learn, and also like sort of like give back. So I think those sort of security working groups are also a great way for raw professionals to learn.
It's quite good, right? So individuals can learn and equip themselves and increase the security posture of the organizations. And while we are still managing this, increased demand and the increased need for cybersecurity professionals, organizations can also collaborate with other organizations, use those networks there, uh, and apply this knowledge, because knowledge is not necessarily easy to find, and where we find it we treasure it and use it. So the more we share, the better. So learnings between organizations or individuals, especially in terms of especially in cybersecurity, matters. So in your experience, or in your opinion, where have you seen wonderful collaboration of cybersecurity professionals which have either helped solve an attack or prevented an attack? I'm sure you have stories to share.
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually part of an organization called Cyber Peace Institute, where we can, sort of like volunteer, and we can volunteer for like nonprofits. And, I think that's where I really saw the cybersecurity community come together and, like really help nonprofits and, like trying to build like a more secure posture, and also really try to create like incident response plans for them, and also like disaster recovery plans for them, so that they have the right security posture. And I think in addition to that, like I'm also part of a nonprofit called Women in Cybersecurity, where we actively work with like local universities and we conduct like hackathons where, like we really train the next generation, right, on how they can resolve a cyber attack. I think it's like a never ending thing. Like, like we constantly need to keep making progress.
And that is really really good. And we had a lot of interactions on this. So for young professionals who are dreaming of a career in cybersecurity, what are your words of wisdom?
Absolutely. I think for young professionals, if you are interested in cybersecurity, I think, like absolutely go for it. Especially women only make up for 24% of the cybersecurity workforce globally. So we definitely need more people from like diverse backgrounds in cybersecurity because in my experience, a diverse security team actually makes the best team because we sort of get inputs right on how we can resolve, how we can predict attacks, how we can resolve attacks from people from like diverse backgrounds. And so I would say even professionals who are maybe in like a different field or who are looking to pivot into cybersecurity, or young professionals, I think the main skill that you need to have in cybersecurity is you need to have like a growth mindset, and you also need to be interested in like critical thinking and problem solving, and these really are transferable skills, right? Like you can currently be maybe like a lawyer, or you can currently be a software engineer, but you feel like you're interested in cybersecurity and you think, oh, is this for me? I would say yes, it is absolutely for you because all the skills you have translate well into cybersecurity. And I think many people have this myth that cybersecurity is a very complex, a very obscure, and a difficult domain, but it's really not. We have non-technical roles in cybersecurity if you're interested in something non-technical. But if you are interested in something technical, also we have technical roles. So I feel like there is really something for everyone. I know many people think you need to know coding, you need to be like an ethical hacker, you need to know like red team hacking skills only to be in cybersecurity, and you really need to look like this computer geek or computer nerd to come into cybersecurity. I know that's the kind of the picture that they show in
Hmm.
like TV shows and movies, but it's really not. I think it's for everyone. Trust me, like what if you are interested in this, you will really find your footing. It's a very exciting and a very innovative space.
One thing that you have highlighted is something very very close to my heart. True diversity is the strength of any organization, be it security, ERP implementations, or anything we do. More perspectives, the better. More thoughts, the better. So over to you, Ryan.
Absolutely. Yeah. On that note, I think I would, as you were saying that, Aparna, I was thinking about, oh, that ties in with social engineering and how what your background in how you spend your time, your culture, your work background, all of that is going to affect how you would be socially engineered against. And having that
Yes,
diverse array of
yes,
people with different backgrounds, yeah, it's safeguards. You have different backgrounds to draw
yes,
on to identify
absolutely.
things. Also, of course, like we all have received, phishing emails and messages. Probably get a few a day, just
Yeah.
blank text that say hello. It's like, I know what you're looking for. You're just looking for a response. You want to verify me, but I'm not going to do it. But contacting cybersecurity authorities is something that never occurred to me. My instinct is to just ignore. It'll go away, right?
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? It hasn't gone away. If anything, it's gotten worse.
No, yeah, I think wherever you are in the world, I'm sure there is a local cybersecurity authority, and you're actually doing them a favor by reporting it because they can track them down and they can make sure they don't find, like more victims, because I know we are in this privileged space where we have this knowledge and we are aware of these threats. But there are many people out there in the world who are not aware of these threats, right? And usually these attackers, even if they find one or two victims, so I think it's our shared responsibility. Like, if we see anything, if we know that somebody is being targeted, I think we can absolutely go and report it, and they'll make sure they do the investigation and make sure, like, it doesn't get repeated.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't know what you don't know. You mentioned talking to your mother about putting a lock on her phone. Like, I've had that conversation with my parents. Like, please stop using the same 6-character password for everything, please. And so, we get the password vault going. We're making steps there. But, I hope if I'm doing something stupid, somebody would tell me, because I wouldn't know I'm doing it.
Right.
All right. Well, Aparna, thank you so much for coming on the show. And Judith, as always, a pleasure having you on. Judith, we'll start with you. Where can people look to find you and your sage and dare I say ancient wisdom?
So LinkedIn is the best place. So start there, and I also run a channel on ancient wisdom. Find me on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll have that link down below. Aparna, where should folks go to learn more about you and cybersecurity?
You can also find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm also like a mentor, so my mentoring page is also available on YouTube. And if at all anyone needs any career guidance on cybersecurity or any mentorship, feel free to drop a message on LinkedIn.
Excellent. So you'll know where to find them, because you can look right down below in the description. We'll have the links and everything. And hey, while you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that bell, because you're going to want to know when the next Evolving ERP is coming out, and all of the great content we have here on Inside Jam YouTube and on InsideJam.com. Go ahead and check that out as well, so you can connect with cybersecurity professionals, ERP professionals, enterprise technology professionals from all around the world, talking all things enterprise technology. So for Judith and Aparna, I've been your host, Ryan Daly, and we'll see you again on the next Evolving ERP.
Powered by Insight Jam.